So hello everyone who is connected to the Lean Digital session that we're gonna talk about digital tools from Lean for Lean practices. So I'm Maria. I'm a Lean specialist at the Lean Institute Brazil, and I'm now based in São Paulo. I'm an industrial mechanical engineer. It has been almost 2 years since I've started helping organizations through their lean digital transformation journeys. And so since I've accepted the challenge to be part of the Lean Digital team at Lean Institute Brazil, I've been working remotely and using digital tools to help our clients and our partners to achieve great results. So, and I'm here also with Nigel Dalton, who is director of the Lean Enterprise Institute, chair of the Lean Enterprise Australia organization. He's a social scientist working for ThoughtWorks, based in Melbourne, Australia. He worked in digital business for over 20 years with startups, scale ups, and large global enterprises like REA Group. He's former CTO and pioneer of extending agile principles beyond software development, only to discover in later life this was already done 4 years before with Lean. He enjoys the Australian Lean approach to Lean thinking, where people from healthcare, manufacturing, and digital backgrounds all work in the same team, sharing their philosophies. Hi, Nigel.
Thanks for having me, Maria, and
You are
looking forward
welcome.
to this session. And we got
Thank
our
you.
Welsh friend with us as well, which is a rare privilege.
Well,
Yes, so we are
you've built
already
you've
we
built
are
Nigel
also
up now,
with
so you need to make a good job for me, please.
okay then.
I'm only
So
kidding.
we are also here with Darren Walsh. He's a senior Lean coach with the Lean Enterprise Academy. He has master's degree in Lean operations management. He has 25 years experience leading change with the likes of Zega, Boston Scientific, Parker, and Zodiac Aerospace. His main focus in helping other leaders, senior management, and supervisor to make lean and continuous improvement work. Currently, he is working to help leadership in medical devices, oil and gas, heart valve replacement, financial services, startups scale quicker. And he's also key member and contributor of several learning groups, including Lean Product and Process Development, Lean Digital Services, Think Lean, Be Agile, and Use Tech and Transformation Framework. Hello, Darren. You are
Hello,
welcome.
thank you. I'm blushing now.
So I'm going to start presenting to one of the most known Lean tools, the value stream mapping. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Um, just 1 second. So I guess now you are seeing a screen like a cell phone screen, the mirror screen, is it? Okay then.
Looks good.
So what I'm gonna present to yourself is one of the most known link tools, the value stream mapping. And we developed this structured way to conduct the value stream mapping with our clients, because our main objective is to use the right approach to the problems that are identified in the value stream mapping process. The tool that we will like to use is our favorite one, Miro. And I'm gonna make like a little demonstration to demonstrate how can we use this to know exactly the right information and to conduct all this process since the beginning until the end of the problem solving. We also call this Lean problem solving framework. So as you can see, everything starts with this fake screen of a cell phone. And we have links that leads us in the exactly place we want to go. So to understand, first of all, the purpose of the project, the purpose of the what problem we wanna solve. We use the link change canvas, which has the justifications about the past, the goals, the SMART goals that we want to achieve, the future benefits, the stakeholders, the premises, the risks, what are the group deliveries that we're gonna achieve in the final, the restrictions, the contexts that are useful. So every day that we make the sessions, we can go back to the scope to remind the purpose. Why are we here? Why are we solving the problem? We also can go back to the main menu and access the value stream mapping. So the value stream mapping, we have already set it up, the icons that are useful, and we can just copy and paste to, or to in fact, make the value stream, build the value stream. We also can, with the sticky notes, identify the main problems in each stage of the value stream. And after that, we can go to the problems and classify them in type 1, type 2, or type 3 problems. After identifying the type of the problem, we can also prioritize the problems that we are going to attack first. As we know, the problems that we identify in the value stream at first are not actually problems, are pain points that we have to understand a little bit more to make them become problems. So we can go to the context and understand the pain, collect some data about the history, and actually state the problem. After stating the problem, we can use the 5 whys technique to make the analysis and understand the root causes of the problem. We also can go and build some counter measures that are hypotheses, value hypotheses that we are gonna solve the problem. And we also can make an execution follow-up framework to understand what is being done, who is doing it, and what is the status of what are the status of the actions. Once we solved all these type 2 problems and we stabilized the process, we can also go and build some future state with the same icons that we created in the value stream of the current state. We also can go and follow the actions that are being done with the Kaizens to make, in fact, improvements on the process that is being worked on. And finally, at the end, we can fill an A3 with all this content, with all this process that I just demonstrate. We developed this framework, this Lean problem solving framework, with following the A3 thinking, and taking care to identify the problem, prioritize them, and treat them as they should be treated. And in the end, the A3, it's like a summary, a resume that everything that reunites everything, all the important information that is all the important information that has been achieved. So
okay, Maria, we need to be quick, and I've got two questions
okay.
because the theme of today is each of us stealing the best ideas of the others. So number one, how long does that Miro take, and how long does it last? Is it 1 day, 1 month, 6 months?
Thank you for the question, Nigel. It depends. So we usually work from 3 months to 6 months using this framework because there is more than one value stream that can be worked in one take. So to fill everything, at least 3 months. But after the second week or the third week, we can have like improvements, some wins, some quick wins with all the finds that the learnings that are accomplished.
Okay, well, why
Okay,
don't I
then.
have a go next, and I'll show you how I've been using tools for Hoshin Kanri.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks, Maria. And everyone who's on board, we've got a little bit of extra time afterwards. If you need to go to a session straight away at the end, please forgive us if we go a little over with our enthusiasm and drop off and go. Anyone else who wants to stick around, ask some questions, please do. Now, I'm a recent convertee. Only in the last few years have I really learned about Lean, the last 10 years. And I'm formerly mostly an agile person from the world of IT. Lean's been a big journey for me. And the best advice I ever got was to think about one thing, one tool that you really love, and focus on that and use that to get to the rest of the whole canon of Lean. And my tool I love is Hoshin Kanri. I was told about it years ago and ignored my sensei in that, and now I regret because I would be a lot further along the road. I use it in a variety of situations for consulting, for helping things from the biggest picture down to individuals. If I get the chance, I'll show you those three today. I love this because in my former life, I was an executive in a public company, and I have spent hundreds of hours sitting in a boardroom working through 100-page PowerPoint packs in a linear fashion to define the strategy of a company, using templates defined by people like McKinsey and Deloitte and very large companies whose specialty is organizational strategy. I knew there had to be a better way, and I was very excited to discover Hoshin and begin to adapt it for a world of companies I work with, which are more fast-moving digital, who are very impatient about long process. They would not have the concentration span to do your problem-solving methods. I think they would be bad customers for you. They want to get quickly aligned and focused, and that's where I find the best of it. Hoshin Kanri, if you don't know it, roughly translates to direction execution, and it's a rapid way in a single page to getting to understanding the long-term goals and the actions you are taking. And not much work has been done in this field in the last 30 years, I don't think. The traditional models all still stand. There are some good guidebooks on the topic. It has solved many of the problems that we have today with planning and strategy and teams in particular. So this is a typical workshop. This workshop I won't zoom in too closely on because it was a controversial topic for my colleagues. It was to take people from China, India, the UK, Germany, and Australia and the USA to get to a single direction and strategy around the complex topic technology-wise of authorization of users on a network. Now that's not an enterprise Toyota strategy, which it's a very focused strategy, but one worth a great deal of money, because those of you who understand American business know that authorization and authentication of users on a simple computer network is required for a thing called Sarbanes-Oxley compliance. So a lot at stake with this Hoshin, and typically my structure for these big workshops is to start at the left and move to the right. The left is an agenda, useful background information, a warm-up conversation, and a list of all the references that will be used or referred to in the workshop. So people can link out during the workshop to catch up on other information. And at the bottom, some interesting and useful ways of thinking that will unlock problems. The central section is where we first attempt to look at cascading the problem of the Hoshin, which goes down in the classic thing of defining the purpose. Oh, I will go in a little closer. Purpose, ambition, the brand promise, current state and future state. Now, these tools are tremendous for being able to just add post-it notes to a process and enable people to then cluster common themes together around that and reach rapid agreement on what the purpose of this project is, what future state we desire to get to. And then the second benefit of a Hoshin Canry done using Mural, in this case, or Miro, which Maria loves, is the constraint on your cognitive load. There's an awful lot written about cognitive load lately. It's an incredibly important thing. And Hoshin magically, through experience, solved the problem of people having 25 goals, because it says you can only have 4. And those goals are driven by steps in a lean transformation fashion towards that future state. So this just simply takes the stress out of a room that you only can have 4. It's not a race to build hundreds of goals. Hoshin has a very useful, and I will now change to a more detailed version of that. You can see the third section is how you get to resolution. So the second Hoshin is all about the workshop. The third one is about making the words fit again, which this one is in the process of doing. Now I'll share a second screen, and this is going to go in a little closer to what we want to look at. This one is in Miro, and this shows you the cascade that we are attempting to fill out. So purpose, ambition, these are very specific elements of Hoshin, and relatively fun to work your way through with a group. What confuses a lot of people I work with in Australia is the fact that goals precede strategies. And worked in a lot of executives who think that strategy is a big thing and that must come first, and then you define your goals. Hoshin reverses this for a very fundamental reason. The goal is where you want to go. The strategy is how you get there. So the cascade can be developed with not just the core team, but the people closer to the work the further you go down the cascade. Each goal, and there were only 4, is only allowed 4 strategies. And that again constrains the cognitive load and forces prioritization. Hoshin is about what you are not doing as much as about what you are doing. Now, something I learned recently from our colleague Christopher was this, and he uses this similar process, is when it's difficult to get a future goal clear, what you perhaps need is to employ an A3. And I think that's a brilliant add to this process, where you might want to bring in at this point just simple lean A3 thinking to help you finish up this cascade. Goal 2 to strategies for that, to actually we're stuck, use an A3, and then start working on strategies accordingly. So I'll finish up with my simple advice that the main blocker to using these kind of tools online is the ego of the people you have in the room. Because I don't know about the rest of the world, but in Australia, this is treated like a race. It's treated like an MBA group assignment where everybody wants to get an A straight away. And the simple thesis of Hoshin is that you build and improve. So the first one, probably going to be awful. It's the joy of online tools. You can come back to this time and time again as a place to revise quarterly and beyond. And that's what I love. That's my favorite online tool building process from Lean, adapted for a pandemic era. Darren, what's your reflection on what's been useful for you in these times?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'm gonna close out our presentation, and I've got a few slides to share. So I haven't got Miro or Mural. I do use them regularly, but I put this together on PowerPoint, simple PowerPoint. And I want to talk about how digital tools can help us actually make the work visible and help us make it flow, make the value flow. Even before the pandemic, both in the physical world and in the digital world, we had a problem. A large part of that problem was we wasn't able to easily see performance. Lots of organizations and teams would have many different visual boards, but largely they were just a collection of KPIs. And if you think about the service industry and offices, that probably takes up perhaps 70% of the workforce these days. And the work there is largely hidden in computers. So the knowledge and the work that people are doing is all hidden. And it's difficult to actually see the value flow and understand how the work really works and how the processes work in those environments. I guess the pandemic has just accelerated that problem. It's just added to that problem. And so we need to start figuring out how we can overcome those problems. So there's two key challenges I want to talk about. How do we make visual management work? And how do we make the work more visible and help the value to flow? There's lots of different tools that we can use. We can use Asana, we can use Monday.com, we can use Trello. But there's a problem with lots of these tools. Largely, we're just showing visual management from one aspect, often a status, or it's just a collection of KPIs. For effective visual management, we need to think about the work at three different dimensions. We need to think about performance, we need to think about the work, and we also need to think about purpose and routines. When we think about performance, the team themselves, it doesn't matter if they're applying Lean or digital tools or Agile or Scrum, the teams themselves really deserve to understand if they are winning or losing. So they need to understand performance. And where we've got a problem or a gap, we want to break those issues down and connect problem solving back to the key issues that are impacting them. Then as we mature, we can start understanding how does the work and whether we are ahead or behind against this week's plan, next week's plan, and maybe further out against key milestones and deliverables. It doesn't really matter whether you use different digital tools. The thinking is the most important here. It's the thinking behind the tools. And here's an example of a team that has done exactly that. Their visual management is effective. It may not look the prettiest, but it is effective. They understand performance, whether they're winning or losing, and then they break issues down and they connect those issues to problem solving. Different types of problem solving, 3, 4C problem solving, which is quick, rapid problem solving, or A3s. Also, they start to understand how the work works. You know, who's doing what, where are the tasks, what's the task that should be done this week, if something is getting held up, and why is it getting held up, that may end up coming back down to the tally as well. And then also other team aspects to it. So for me, the real benefit really is not so much, well, visual management is great because it helps the team understand. It helps the team understand performance, the winner, losing, are they ahead or behind. But it doesn't really matter what tool they use in a remote working space. It's more about the thinking behind the tools. So as long as you've got that thinking, then we can recreate the visual management in an effective way and make sure that we are working on the right problems at the right time. Another aspect I want to get into is making the work visible and making it flow. Often what we try and do in business is try and keep the people, the developers, the engineers most efficient. What that means is we end up creating lots of work for them, lots of to-do lists and lots of planning for them. As we do that, the value-added aspect of the work, they pick it up, they may create something, but then it'll sit and wait for a long period of time before they get to it again in the future. And this is where a lot of that work, that waste in the process, that ineffectivity in the process is sitting. The people are busy and efficient, but the work and the value to the customer is inefficient. So how do we do that? We want to connect the value-added steps of the process together. Well, Shingo taught us about processes work one way and operations or tasks are part of that process and work the other way. So there's lots of tools out there that are like Asana and other tools where you can create workflows. This particular one is using Jira. So we can create a simple workflow with simple rules to go ahead and rework. We can create a master plan, if you like, a high-level plan of the work to be done, and we can make that visual. Well, one technique that we use in Lean for a long time in many different environments is standardized work. And the standardized work helps us capture the best known method for doing the job. It helps us actually take that work to be done and the value flow and to do that in the best known way. Thankfully, it also helps us understand the waiting time where the value stops. So in this example, we've created a standardized work. It used to take 26 weeks, and we've now created the new standardized work. It will take 60 days. And we've utilized the digital tools, the Lean digital tools, by importing that tool, importing standardized work straight in to Jira. This creates the product backlog. So there's no planning, there's no additional planning to be done. This automatically creates the product backlog, and then in line with the high level plan, the team pulls it into their sprints. In their sprints, they've got the Kanban board or the visual tracking board to show the status of the work, and they pull that work forward as they progress. And the great thing about this is that we can also use maximum WIP. We can put WIP counts in there. And what that does is it stops us creating multiple cards, multiple additional cards, and then the work actually taking longer. If you think about, taking a short driving distance, if you've got more load on the road, then that distance will take longer to get. And tasks and activity exactly the same. So if we've got WIP limits on our columns, then we will force the work to flow much quicker and force us to address those issues which are impacting the flow and hindering that flow. So in summary, for me, visual management is important, but the linkages are really, really key. Otherwise you could end up with just a collection of KPIs and people working on the wrong things. Also focus on the value flow create WIP limits and stop the micro planning. And really, from a leadership perspective, it's all about flow and discovery. Now, has anybody got any questions?
Darren, there's a great question from Augusto, and I think it's for both of you actually. Well, how do you do this when it's a hybrid environment? Some people are remote, but some people are in the office. Because I struggle with this, and we've made some very blunt rules at our workplace about that. What's your experience, Darren?
I think once we've got the thinking right, then we can do things remotely. And once people start to understand those linkages, so from the visual management, that's not a problem. There's lots and lots of tools like Mural that we can do mapping on. That's not a problem. You can even use Microsoft Whiteboard, or what I do often is just draw on a slide. So for me, it's a barrier, but it shouldn't stop us making progress. Maria?
Yes, I'm pretty sure about it. It's not like a blockage, but as Nigel said in the chat, when you have like an hybrid environment, some people remote and some people reunited in a room, this can be very unproductive if we don't set some kind of rules or agreements, if you want to say it softly. In my past experience, when we had people reunited in a room, but some remoted, we advised that was very important. Everyone have a computer, and our suggestion was to choose one person to take care of the mirror or take care of the digital tool that was being used, and everyone follows this person like a facilitator, because at this way you can promote good discussions, and everyone is following just one way, one screen, or one projection.
It's
it's
a barrier, but it's you can make it work. If you've got the majority of people who are sat next to each other, it doesn't happen a lot these days in the pandemic. But if they are, then do what's best for them and get the others to dial in, put it on a cam, or just work remotely. Do it via Mural, and just create some collaborative space. That's fine.
It becomes quite the orchestration in a room. If 5 are in the room, we try to have individual computers for them muted, and sort of we can share a screen for the big screen for the Mural or Miro, and it's just quite difficult for everyone.
Unfortunately, it's been the way that the last couple of years. The last couple of months, you could even go in and visit people, but everybody's sat with a mask on around a table. So you end up dialing into a Miro board, and you end up working. And yes, you could do some things direct, but other things you would working with global teams. So just gotta try it and make it work.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, Maria, that's our time is up.
Having a clear goal to each session helps everyone to be productive when in this hybrid scenario. Okay, then our time is up. We can close our session, but if we do have some questions, or if we have some participant that.
If you've got any further questions, we can stay around for a little bit longer. If you would like to learn more about how we create Hoshin and strategic plans, or value stream mapping, A3s, Kaizen, visual management, or improve the flow, anything which we've talked about here today, our email address is just reach out to one of us, and we've been talking about putting something on in the next couple of weeks where we can go into more detail in these topics.
Yes, perfect.
There's
Darren,
no...
sorry, Nigel, you can continue. But we have a question in Q&A from Jim Glover. So if you want to talk, or can I just ask the question? Can I?
Yep.
Perfect. So Jim asked, can the team recommend digital tool that visualizes a pipeline flow of work, jobs, through process, stage gates, left to right, that automa moves the Kanban so you see the bottlenecks simply and clearly? So a digital tool that we can visualize a pipeline flow of work, like a Kanban.
Right, I have to go now because I've just had an idea for a software startup. You know, this is the great crossover of our worlds now. Whether this is you know, Figma, those kind of simple automation tools. I don't know of something like this. It would be amazing, sort of a digital twin of the process that you are trying to model, or otherwise. This is a very good idea. It's probably trickier than we imagine with some of the simple parameters, perhaps pretty doable. But Jim, I'll see you in the side chat. Let's start a startup today. We'll think of a name and we'll get that introduction.
Yeah,
Darren, you're a manufacturer.
What I would say is, if you start thinking about writing software, maybe look at alternatives first. So
look at yourself
I'm sure somebody out there will gladly write you some expensive piece of software. Just try different tools. And if it means that you've got to use, you know, you can use Asana or Trello or Jira for the workflow, and utilize another tool as well with it. Then do that. But for stage gates, if you're looking at product development, stage gates, yeah, you could probably use maybe a version of Trello, not Trello, Jira, because Jira seems to be more advanced than Trello and Asana.
Yes.
Stage gates in itself can actually be quite restrictive to product development. So what the LPPD,
that's a good one.
Yeah, what the LPPD folks often do is start trying to front load the design and look at exploring alternatives, and explore those alternatives and the features, and then deselect once you've actually you've got proven, you've got facts and data, you've got proven functionality. You will probably still need some gate criteria, but not as much as some organizations do with the 7 or 12 stage gate.
Yes.
No, so often software is not the answer, isn't it? Hey, look, I make an open offer. As with so much with the lean world, there's no copyright on the models that I work with. So if anybody would like a Miro version of Hoshin Kanri for them to have a practice or a play with their clients or with their companies, all you need to do is contact me. You'll see my profile and get me into your Miro so I can copy and paste one for you with a few instructions and give that a go. Maria and Darren, they make money out of this. They might not be quite so willing to share, but
I share everything.
We would like to share as well if you have any question, and if you want any orientation after that. It's just entering in contact with me. I've put my contacts in the chat right now. So as Erasto said here on the chat, the most important things about digital tools is to keep people connected. So test the tools that you know and that they are possible for you, and the one that connects more the people and make people really use it, and this is the right tool for you. I think this is the key tip that we can take for you. We can leave for you today. Okay, then.
Okay.
So I think we are finishing our session. I would like to thank Darren and Nigel. It was a pleasure to meet you guys, and it's always a pleasure to have you here in this Lean connection, in this Lean team. So thank you so much. Our event continues until tomorrow. So for everyone who is here with us, it's just following the agenda that is in the menu on the left here on the screen. And that's it. Nigel, have a good day. Darren, have a good night's sleep. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see
I will.
each other tomorrow. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you for hosting,
Excellent.
Maria.
Thank you very
Bye,
much.
everyone. Thank you so
Ciao.
much.
Bye. Thank you, Maria.